We've tested a number of Mazda 3s here at Daily Motor, but they've all been hatchback models. So for the first time, we're taking a Mazda 3 sedan out to see what sort of realistic fuel economy number you can expect on the highway. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor, and tonight we've got the real-world highway fuel economy test on the 2024 Mazda 3 sedan with the 2.5-liter turbocharged motor and all-wheel drive. In tonight's test, we're going to head out on the highway and do 50 miles out and 50 miles back, averaging 70 miles per hour, to get a realistic fuel economy number for this compact sedan. Now before we get started, let's hop out and take a look at it. Looking pretty darn snazzy in this bright white paint. Not a big fan of the black wheels though. The Mazda 3. Like I said, we haven't had a sedan yet, and that's kind of a bummer because the sedan is actually the one to get, because the hatchback, even though it looks cool and you'd think it'd be more practical, back seat's virtually unusable, whereas the back seat's very nicely designed in this one. So if you do want to see more on the Mazda 3, either this one or the hatches we've tested, check the link below. We've got Bose sound tests, full reviews, all of that can be found down there. Now I would like to try out a front-wheel drive, naturally aspirated Mazda 3, but they just didn't have any of those in the fleet in sedan form, so this is all we could get. So why do we do this test? Well, the EPA's highway fuel economy test, which gives this version of the Mazda 3 32 MPG, that test only averages 48 miles per hour. It's got a lot of stopping and going and kind of on-ramp simulation and everything. But we know there are plenty of people who spend many, many miles on the highway and would like to know what sort of realistic number you can get just cruising steady state at 70 miles per hour. So in order to test that out, we're going to head over to the gas station here, fill up. We're going to go out and do 100 miles, come back, fill up at the same pump using the same 3-click fueling method, and get a result. Now, a few things to note for today. The outside temperature is 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Our tire pressures have been set to their door placard, 38 PSI front and 36 PSI rear cold. And we're going to set the climate control at 73 degrees auto. Experimenting with a few different camera settings as well, driving around here at night. The GoPro does not excel at night, so trying to make things look a little better. Wasn't super happy with the Tacoma TRD Pro nighttime footage, and I'm kind of wondering if my camera's having an issue because I don't remember the night footage looking this shaky before. These nighttime fuel economy tests are also a bit of an opportunity to do some night impressions of the cars, and this Mazda 3 has swiveling headlights, something that I think is pretty good at 37 grand. All right, let's hop out and fill it up. 2.950 gallons going in for our first fill. And before we start the motor, we're going to reset the vehicle's trip computer and our GPS. And we're ready to begin. Now, we really only got 2 drive modes here in the Mazda 3. Nice and simple. You've got normal and sport. We're going to do this test in normal. We're going to take it nice and easy over to the highway, pick up the test from there. Now, the goal of this test isn't to hypermile. We're not trying to get the best possible fuel economy for this car, but rather a realistic figure. So in order to do that, we're getting up to highway speed here at a reasonable pace. And we're going to set our cruise control at a GPS indicated 71 miles per hour. That should allow us to average just about 70 over the whole test. Doing the test a little bit later tonight than usual, so traffic should be a little bit lighter. Looking forward to that. Make our way over to the speedier lanes. Looking like the car's readout is pretty accurate. If anything, let's see, it's good up to 71. Yeah, maybe 1 mile per hour higher, so nothing wrong with that. So we're probably going to, well, I don't know. Might have to settle in at 71. Keep an eye on it throughout the test here. Initial highway impressions, it's riding very nicely. Good amount of the initial bump absorption. We've got a good amount of sidewall on the tires. I think that helps. A little bit of road noise, but we'll have to get off this concrete highway and evaluate it over the time. But we're going to continue on with the test and catch up with you at the end. And in the meantime, enjoy this time lapse of the entire trip. coming into the end of the highway fuel economy test here in the Mazda 3 sedan. You know, better than EPA numbers according to the dash readout. 33.3 is what we're getting. Still really not fantastic for a car this size, but when you consider the power figures and you consider the all-wheel drive aspect, it's not that bad. I don't know. It just... Oh, and this is falling again. For me personally, I think most people who insist on all-wheel drive would just be fine getting something like a Mazda CX-30. So I wish they would just leave the Mazda 3 to be front-wheel drive only. But I don't know. I mean, I guess more options are good in this market. So yeah, but I would just, like I said at the beginning, I'd love to see a front-wheel drive and just the 2.5 NA motor. But this car is such a nice place to be in on the highway. That's one of the reasons I'd like to try more of a basic spec. The seating position is nice. I've got nice padded spots for my elbows on both sides, and the active lane keeping. It's not the most competent active lane keeping from a kind of like driving the car itself functionality, but watch, I'm just kind of driving along here. I've just kind of had my hand loosely resting on the steering wheel. Then I get a little indication right there saying, hey, just wiggle the wheel a little bit, give it just the slightest bit of torque, and all of a sudden it goes away. So it's just been a very nice, calm way to drive tonight. And then the Bose sound system, oh my gosh, for less than $40,000 to be getting a sound system this good, really, really impressive. You can see what happens right there when I don't keep it within the lanes. Nice little beepage. And it's taking the bumps well. The adaptive cruise control actually really accelerates hard. It's nice that it gets up to speed. It also decelerates pretty hard, which is for better or for worse, I suppose. But we're going to get this thing back to the pump, fill it up, and see if this number is accurate. 2.817 gallons going in for our final fill. 100 miles traveled divided by that 2.817 gallons. Okay, this is getting a little more optimistic. 35, just barely rounding down. Man, I'm still in need of a new one of these. Just barely rounding down to 35 MPG. Better than the computer readout, you know. In my heart, I'd like to average down to probably 34, but considering this is so much higher, we'll give it the bump. 35 MPG here for the Mazda 3 sedan turbo all-wheel drive. That is a good bit better than the hatchback we tested. However, the hatchback we tested was on winter tires, so it was not an apples-to-apples comparison with this one. We've only got a 12.7 gallon fuel tank in here, so 12.7 times 35 MPGs, well, that's actually still pretty good, giving you an effective highway cruising range of 440 miles here in the Mazda 3 sedan. So the good news is any spec other than this with a smaller motor and front-wheel drive should, in theory, do even better than that 35 MPG figure. For me, that's still good enough to justify this car over some of the more fuel-efficient options. It's just such a nice place to be in. Such a nice car to drive, and that sound system that gets me there too. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on the Mazda 3, check the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, drive on.